Well, I'm out here in the wilderness today. I've been here for 3 days now, camping and mainly here to train Kung Fu. And this is an interesting area actually. I've been coming here for the better part of 35 years actually. And summer's drawing to a close. It's autumn right now, so I don't know if you can see some nice autumn colors around the lake here. And I was saying this place is interesting in that it's really kind of a hidden, secretive kind of place. From the city that I live in, it takes about 3 hours to drive out to the nearest spot where I can put my canoe in the water. Put the canoe in the water. Then I have to paddle about 2.5 hours to where there's a beaver dam over here. Lift the canoe over the beaver dam. Then I get to a rapids and I have to portage the canoe, carry it around the rapids into this lake here, and then canoe over, usually camp around this point here, sometimes the other point back there. But the thing is, it's so hard to get in here, it takes so long that you're really alone, absolutely alone in here. This isn't a federal park or a provincial park or national park. It's not a campground or anything like that. It's what in Canada we call Crown land. So it's really, not really owned by anybody, I guess, except for the government. So I've been coming here long time, 30, 35 years. And when I was training with Pan Ching Fu, I used to come here on my own, but I would come to train here, and I just really enjoyed it all the time, not just the camping aspect, but the training aspect out here in the wilderness. And now that he passed away, I went to Wudong and I started training there a little bit more. And I started understanding or getting into their training philosophy, which is based around Taoism. And a lot about Taoism is about getting back to nature. So this is really kind of the epitome of that. So it really feels different. So whether you're training Kung Fu like I do, karate, Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, boxing even, it's a real different experience training in the gym or even training at a park in a city versus coming right out here to the wilderness into nature to train. And I always knew it felt good, but I didn't know why. So I was saying the Taoist philosophy helped me understand that a little bit. So in Taoism, there's a saying, I believe in Chinese it goes, Dao Fa Zhiran. And I believe that it means something along the lines of humans follow nature and nature follows the Tao. And the meaning around that, I mean, there's a ton of meaning into any of these things that are written down in the old Taoist texts. But the way I've been kind of thinking about it is us as humans are sort of small creatures, completely at the mercy of nature. We build houses and cities and that kind of thing to try to help our chances of surviving in nature, but nature still comes in. We get storms and floods and snow and wind and hot weather, cold weather. You can't really stop that, so you do what you can to adapt to it and work with it and survive it. Sometimes you're fighting against it, sometimes you have to go with it to adapt and work with it. So that in a lot of ways is how humans follow nature. We also follow the natural course of time, going from young to old, birth to death. Our cycles are different when we're doing different things at different times. When it's the summertime, we're kind of out there exploring, doing all kinds of stuff. In the wintertime, we kind of come back and hunker down and cocoon sort of for the winter. So in this way, man follows nature. And then nature itself follows sort of this grand plan that they call the Tao. And there's a lot of ways to explain the Tao or interpret the Tao. But one way you could think of it is being kind of like the guiding principles or guiding laws of the universe. So whether it be anywhere out in the galaxy and how the galaxies and solar systems work, right down to how the weather and the growth and nature and everything like that works around here. Nature is actually following this larger thing, this thing that's larger than itself. So in practicing out here, whatever your martial art is, but for me, Kung Fu, practicing out here, one thing I find is that I get more in tune with myself and with my body. And when I'm getting in tune with my body, then I find that I'm becoming more in tune with nature. And then when I'm more in tune with nature, I kind of get to understand a little bit more my place in the universe. Now, the thing about coming out to a place like this is that everything gets brought down to the basics. So that's one big thing about the difference between training here versus a gym or a park or whatever. When I get here, there's nobody here. There's nothing to take care of me. There's no electricity, no running water, no safety net, no one around to rescue me if anything goes wrong. So my very first thing is to deal with nature and deal with surviving. So the real basics, right down to the basics. I got to deal with shelter. So getting a tent going or some kind of shelter built, getting fire, so getting a fire happening, dealing with food, so whether it's fishing to get some food or bringing in food, just making sure that it's dealt with, and when the food's finished being eaten, tying it up in the tree so the bears and the raccoons and the wolves and the coyotes don't come around to my campsite to try to get the food. So my whole time out here is really consumed with the basics. Shelter, fire, food, survival, warmth, staying dry, that kind of thing. So I don't really get a chance to worry about all of my regular kind of worldly problems, things that would crop up in the city. Did I go shopping for that kind of thing? When's my next paycheck coming? Do I have enough money for my mortgage? All that kind of thing. Is a neighbor or somebody out on the street bothering me? That type of thing. All that stuff really goes away. So that's one of the real benefits of coming out to a place like this to train, because then when I'm finished with all the basic survival stuff and I've got some time, then my training time becomes that much more, that much more serious, that much more deep. And so I feel a real connection to the training, to myself, and to my surroundings. Even stuff like training on uneven ground with roots and rocks and that kind of thing, instead of training on a perfectly flat floor. So you have to adapt. So I'm adapting to nature by trying to work my way out around here. So it's something to kind of keep in mind. So if you ever get a chance to come out to a place like this, it'd be really, really nice. It'll make you look at your training in a real different kind of way. And, if you don't have the skills or the wherewithal to come out, alone to a place where you really have to deal with survival, go to a campground where there's lots of trees, lots of forest, or a beach or something like that, and just kind of feel the nature as you're training. Like I said, whether it's Kung Fu, karate, kickboxing, regular boxing, whatever, just get outside and do your thing. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. I've shown you a little bit about how I got in here. I'll show you a little bit of the training and that kind of thing. You might have seen a little bit of training earlier in the video. But if you did like the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. That'll help me make more. And let me know what you think about training out in a place like this. Have you ever tried training out in a place like this? Have you gone way out into the wilderness to look for some super solitude like this to do your training? So let me know if you have done that. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.